very wonderful time. So when you had a meeting of this nature, and it becomes so that it's not a one-way traffic thing, where it's not the speaker to the audience, it's from the speaker to the audience, from the audience to the speaker, then you already know that you're having a wonderful time. So it's on that note I want to told the same part, and the lecture has been prepared. The city would have thought to be here, the person to be the one to deliver this lecture. But unfortunately, due to the existence of office is not here, and he has dedicated me specifically to be here. The city was charged with the responsibility of delivering lecture on just information management and security reporting. But actually, there is no way you need to talk about that if you don't have a path to which you want to have this conversation. That's the whole reason why, as you can see on display, that we needed to look at it first from the perspective of contemporary security operations, and not just that from the police perspective. It is not to mean that it has closed the book on the subject. What it only simply means is that we are opening frontiers, especially as it has to do with the police force. So we move from there. Distinguished participants, colleagues from the armed forces, intelligence community, and other security agencies, very distinguished guests from traditional institutions, young people, diverse aspects of life here in Enugu State. It's important to inform us that modern security operations are no longer driven solely by force projection, but as a matter of fact, by information superiority. In fact, on several occasions I've been on radio, I always will tell the audience listening that effective policing, or security as we choose to call it, is a function of information. A live wire to the success you may have in every operation as far as security is concerned is a function of the quantum, the quality and quantity of information at your disposal. If the information is not what it should be, the quality is not good enough for that particular operation, no matter how hard you try, you only will be struggling with yourself. So what we are letting us know this lovely afternoon is that modern security operations are no longer driven solely by force projection. So it's not a function of the quality, the quantum, how sophisticated that agency could be. You might be very sophisticated, you just need a little information for that level of sophistication to give you the result you want. So information in this modern time, even in time past, remains the major driver of every form of operation you carry out. So beyond your force projection, what it is you have, information superiority is what will make whatever sophistication you have to function effectively. From a policing standpoint, we believe very strongly that every operation, whether it is a patrol, whether it's an investigation we are conducting, or tactical response, begins and ends with information. In fact, in the investigation that I know very strongly, if you're not getting the right information, then you're going to have a problem. That instance is where you think you've arrested a suspect, where you think the complainant is coming to give the kind of information you need. But eventually you realize, because nobody wants to lose the case, two of us. The person complaining wants you to work in his favor. The person that has been arrested, that has been probably made a suspect, also wants you to speak in his favor. So what will matter for you as an investigator, for instance, I need investigation because I know it's out of operation altogether. For you to begin to have the kind of result you want, it will border very strictly on that extra information you've gotten. You know, these days when, from the police force angle, when a lawyer brings a petition, before God and man, it will take days for you not to believe that you have to kill a suspect you are arrested. Somebody will call it very well. Then you have made the mindset of the person, all the grammar you can ever think of will be embedded in that particular petition. But when eventually you arrest the suspect and bring suspect, you realize that it usually lasts forever. It's contradictory to what the real fact is. So that is where information begins to guide you as an investigator. In your operation, is guiding you. You're gotten a report, you're told something has happened. You just need that extra information for you to take that required action to make whatever operation you're embarking on effective. So information begins and ends every form of effectiveness you want to achieve in any given security operation. The difference between success and failure is often not courage. It's not the courage you have that will aid you. You can be a bouncer, look very much, you've been gymming all your life. You wouldn't know that there's one acne that will bite you and that's the end of your strength. So if you know that there's an acne there, by acne I mean a scorpion there, you will know that you need to tread cautiously. But if you don't know, like you have a lot of body peace, you have minds laid everywhere. How do you survive? In your mind you think you have everything sorted out, but you only needed that little information. So the success or failure of every operation, whether it's tactical investigation, whatever it is you're doing, is the product and the function of the quality of information at your disposal. The city is making us understand that in today's threat environment, which as a matter of fact you know is characterized currently in this country by terrorism, cybercrime, organized crime, and as a matter of fact, misinformation. When we have this knowledge, then effective information management and security reporting, which is the topic we are looking at, are not optional. That's our position. They are not optional, they are operational imperatives across all security institutions. So they are not something you want to consider as optional, it's something that is a given. Whatever success you attain, whatever height you go about within that operation, whether it's investigation or whatsoever, is a function, like I said, of how you have effectively managed information and reported any security situation that you are faced with in the course of carrying out that particular operation. Now the big question will be, what is information management and security reporting? That's very crucial. I wish this slide were running through time. I wish this slide is something that we allow. It drops one sentence per sentence. But unfortunately, we have it on display. So it makes my job as a teacher, it has been reduced. Because I used to teach, I used to put people in suspense to YouTube, but unfortunately that is not going to happen here. So it's on display, we can see together. Information management and security reporting are closely related, especially policing, military, and other security agencies, but they are not the same thing. Obviously, face value, you know, they are not the same. In fact, in the course of this work, you realize that security reporting is an output of information management. Because when you manage information very well, one of the things you need to do is to report it. And the information we are talking about, we manage as purely and squarely security information, not just any kind of information. Now, information management is a process of collecting, organizing, storing, protecting, and using information effectively. So it's not just enough to collect, it's not just enough to store, it's not just enough to protect, you must also ensure that its usage is such that it's done effectively. In a security context, this is where we are coming down to. Information management will now mean gathering intelligence. And how do you gather this intelligence? You gather intelligence from surveillance, from the police perspective, and I know most of the regular security agencies, even the state-owned ones, you know you must carry out surveillance. It might be overt, it might be covert. It might be such everybody is seeing you do. By the source you need to, as a matter of fact, ensure nobody knows you're even doing that. So we do that by surveillance, we do that by informant. Informant remains very critical. In fact, we live in a time where I think the role of the informant has been so reduced that even those who probably present themselves to do that don't seem not to understand it any longer. Because the social media seems to be the highest informant we have. As PRO, I've had us to tell somebody, oh, please remove that post you made. Somebody is trying to draw my attention to a very serious security information. A post there on our Facebook power. When every other person is seeing what you're posting, as a matter of fact, I told you it's no longer a security information. As far as I'm concerned, because the essence of this thing, the level of management required has been defeated. It's no longer protected. It's not properly stored any longer. Because if it was meant for me to work, maybe co-value to achieve the result I want, it made it public so it's as good as nothing else. I can't put it to any other effective use. So surveillance is very good, important. It's one of such ways of gathering information and reports. Various reports you get is also a source of gathering information. Databases also exist even in all the agencies,
Except you're not doing that, then there's a problem. Even as an individual, there must be a little store of information you have. I have people who are ready to go back and dig up what has happened 5 years ago, to pull it up to them and tell you that, and I got on with it 5 years ago. But I had instances where I had to start debunking what never happened. I had to start debunking what happened 5 years ago. That was 3 years ago now. When I looked at this thing, it looked very real. And when I looked at it very closely, I realized that this is something that happened a couple of years ago. And sadly as it were, whether advantageously or disadvantageously, currently the internet is the highest archive you can think of. It doesn't forget, it doesn't forgive. You do well, it will keep it for you. You do badly, rest assured it's going to store it up for you. It's just a function of where that thing is needed. Someone goes and pull it up somewhere. Even when you are deleting. In fact, those of us who are conversant with current trends who have X, formerly Twitter, you realize that Elon Musk deliberately decided to create one he called Grok. I don't know if you are conversant with Grok. Grok is an AI that can tell you anything. Even if you are not, just post that if the information is not correct, it will come very close to what it is the answer for that issue. So it's as bad as that, and that's the era of the contemporary times we face with, especially when it has to do with information management and security reporting. Now, verifying and analyzing that information beyond you gathered intelligence. I will say a few things because of this lecture. Because what I face, I've been on radio where people will come and say, police, and because question might come, somebody will ask you, it's better I need to establish your mind and defeat you before you ask that question right now. I'll be asked on radio. We gathered information, we told the police. Now when I'm there, this person did that, another person did that. We needed the police to act. The police arrested the suspect, the next day the suspect has been released. This is where it's happening. There's an intelligence, there's an information that has been gathered by that individual. He has supplied the same to the police. Now the next stage, which is what information management means for us in security operations. Now we need to verify, we need to analyze the information you're giving to us. Sometimes you've been told, you know, the person reporting, possibly because of lack of adequate knowledge to know what the information at his disposal in the first place is, he has to embellish it, he has to believe that this thing I'm telling the police is in the law, is a law that should let this person be properly dealt with. But when the policeman brings that information, for instance, verify, analyze, juxtaposes it with existing law or laws, realizing that what you are telling the police is not exactly what this thing is all about. In fact, there are instances where you go beyond that to begin to deal with that information on face value, you burn your fingers. So the most rational thing to do is to take steps, but eventually the person wouldn't understand. He just felt something wrong has happened. Because one, he has gathered an intelligence or information and shared with the police. But the police has the duty to verify. The police has the duty to ensure that that information is properly analyzed. And it's only when you do that the required action, as far as the information at your disposal is concerned, would be taken. Now, from the information, the security perspective, we also believe that information management will mean storing it securely. And that is also where the police perspective will have issues. There are times I want to agree with those who have that opinion that to share information to the police officer or any security agent, the tampering with that information and eventually the result that is expected is not attained. But there's also an issue where I know we have. Some of us have viewed the current Inspector General of Police, IGP or Olatukuchi, the one with this case that guy came. You realize it was on TV, particularly NTV. He said the greatest challenge, and I believe, and I know it's what it is not just about the person or the informant that has given the information. It is what the informants do after he has given that information. There are people with all due respect, they would have thought they have done something big, so they want to tell the story somewhere. In Makane, the police, but that's the security agency, I was the one that gave them the information. Now we are in the we don't even know who you're talking to. So the next moment, the leakage, securing that information becomes difficult because somewhere, somehow, and protection of that information has also suffered leakage as a result of whom you've given that information to. So it's a two-way thing. It's not just a one-way thing, it's a two-way thing. And we must endeavor, as a matter of fact, having known this thing, to begin to look at it from that perspective.
In fact, as a matter of fact, as a police officer or any other security agency present, you will know one of the major codes, hence he wanted me to be aware of that information. The timing might be right, but the advert particularly, and that is why I have wonderful followers. You expose the thing there, but everybody is seeing it. So I'm handicapped. Tomorrow the result does not come. We just should know that though he has shared with the right person, but he shared it with the wrong channel. It's not accessible. And he was with the right person and was sharing it at the right time. Now we be very strong that if this is done, you gather the intelligence, you don't gather the intelligence, the information has been verified, you have confirmed that is what it is, and that information has been shared with the right person at the right time. Not when something has happened, you need to bring the information. It is only going to be an effort in futility. So the information is never going to give the kind of result that is expected. So we believe, and as a matter of fact, that is happening because it is either lost, such information is delayed, or as a matter of fact, is compromised. I give you the Facebook as an instance. How do I use it? I have a very accurate information, but because sharing it with the right person through the wrong channel and open source, eventually is not going to get us the kind of result we want. Now, let's talk about information management. The other leg will be to look at security reporting. Now, security reporting is about authorities or stakeholders or members of our communities. Right? Information will be you put it across to the right person, the right time, the right time. Being a structured way of communicating security information, we believe that security reporting involves one, from our perspective, the report of incident reports. Is that, like, for example, crime, talk about threats, talk about breaches that would have happened within or any space we find ourselves. It involves incident reports. It involves intelligence brief. That can happen in-house. You are getting the information as a security agent. You may not be the one to utilize it, even as PR right now, won't be the one to eventually put that information to work. So what I need to do is to ensure that I do a measure of briefing. It is to the commissioner of police, if to anybody I know who utilize that particular intelligence, I have to ensure that the person is properly briefed. We can begin to report such security information within our circle through what we do as CFRES, two of us, situation reports. That's how the easiest way for us to communicate internally and let whoever is responsible for the utilization. As security agents, we know what we refer to as briefing and debriefing, right? So for every action taken in the course of any information you handle, you must, as a matter of fact, give you a report your after action. That is security reporting. I had that information, I put it to work, I did this, I did that. That should be communicated so who you know should know about what you've done. The goal of this entirely is to inform decision making. And as far as I know, effective security, public security and safety is a function of decision making within the police sphere. And I know it's like that with every other security agency, is that one of the major authorities we have is a discretionary power. True or false? True or false? If you as an individual, and your ability to make proper exercise of discretionary power is a function of how informed you are. If you have information, like when you say, half illiteracy is worse than what we need now. It's more dangerous than no illiteracy. It's better you didn't go to school at all than go halfway. Everything a man and a man in the so. That's why you don't can be problematic. Because you want to project him as knowing, but eventually he doesn't know. So, as a matter of fact, decision making is one of the major core reasons why security reports are made. If it's to the commissioner of police, if it's to the GOC, if it's to the controller, whoever it is that should utilize that security information, if reporting is not properly done, there will be a problem. Whether that is deploying officers, preventing an attack, or updating leadership, the essence of security reporting is that
somebody has to take informed decision, even at your level. Probably you need to tell the DG, probably you need to tell the Igwe, probably you need to tell the chairman of that particular group, probably you need to talk to the head of the neighborhood watch, the head of the forest guard, the head of the hunters. The essence is to help that person take the right decision. That's really what the pure goal of security reporting. How do these two factors connect? Mind you, are looking at two related, close and related concepts. The concept of information management and the concept of what? Security reporting. Now, information management is the system itself. I said something like this earlier. Why security reporting is one of its outputs. Information management is encompassing. It has to do with everything you do with information. How you get it, how you preserve it, how you protect it, how you give it out. The end goal will be to ensure that public security and safety, in the sense we are looking at it today, is properly carried out. Now, without good information management, reports become inaccurate. It doesn't just become inaccurate, it will become delayed, and worse still, it can be misleading. So you see these two things coming into play. Now, without proper reporting, on the other hand, if you collect all of the quantum of information you think you can collect, it will never influence action. So you can manage information very well, but if you don't report it very well, there will be an issue. So the head or tail, whichever comes first, these two must work together. Alright, we move straight to police perspective on the information management. I've said a lot of this already, maybe I will run through this as quick as possible. We have said here that policing is inherently information driven, whether we want to agree or not. I said the life wire of effective policing is what? Information. Unlike the military, which may operate on defined battlefronts, the police function within civilian population squarely. You can't, in fact, that's what we represent altogether. When information is squarely fluid, it's something that can move any angle you want. You can't even imagine. It's not something that is rigid. It is fluid. Even a child can be the one to give you an information. The least expected, and there are places where madmen are giving us security information we don't necessarily use to achieve our operational activities. The sources can come from anybody. It can be from anywhere. It is sensitive, and as a matter of fact, it is often incomplete. So at every point in time, every information given to you may not be all of what it should be. That is where verifying and analyzing comes into play. So beyond the fact that you got this information, you must do a little further. I told us how lawyers can script it very well. Oxford English, put Maggi, put onions, put everything. In fact, overdose of those things. So that when you're consuming the information, you want to simply write. You will consume, and eventually when you get another side of the story, you realize that that information is actually not complete. Now, from this perspective, information management, we believe in the police sphere involves the following. One, continuous intake of data from the public, informant and surveillance. It's not a continuous thing. We are not going to stop anytime soon. Because if we stop performing. So information is something we keep getting. Whether it's from an informant, whether by way of surveillance, we must continue to get it. Immediate documentation of incident and intelligence. At any moment we get it, we document. Because if you don't document it, you're not managing information. Information management is squarely all about documentation. There must be rapid analysis for operational use. We do split-second use of information. You might be in the field, you have that information. You must be very big, very active to ensure that you analyze that information because you need it for the information you're carrying out. There must be timely dissemination to relevant unit and partner agencies. It is not done timelessly. We said it earlier, every information is only as useful as how timely that information has been shared. If you share it, it might be wonderful. When it gets to the person that is going to use it, when it's not supposed to get to the person, automatically, whatever you're thinking about using that information for, you become very extremely defeated. The police experience highlight, okay, the police experience as we have presented, highlight the critical reality. And what is this reality? Information loses value rapidly if it is not properly managed. In fact, even at your individual level, the value of the information you have, the essence of that information is only a function of how you have been able to manage that information. But coming here, I just know we need to move beyond here, and I'll do as much as possible. Now, while our mandate as security agencies may differ, all security agencies rely on a common asset, and that asset is what? It is what? That is one common asset that you cannot, no matter how you migrate and decide not to share to the other person, becomes a problem. There is inaccurate and or verified information. I see the situation where a member of the community just wants to give you the information because in his own thinking, he believes that that is all of what he should give to you. It makes sense to him. But you need to make sense out of that information to align with what is required for you to carry out the business of policing effectively. Poor documentation standard is a gap. We don't have all of the facilities, no matter how hard you want to look at it. And it's a big challenge, it's a gap. If you get this information, you don't have where to properly store them. I know in my mind that, let's talk about tech for instance. For you to put certain things in cloud, whether it's iCloud or that cloud you're putting it there, it costs money. Those of us who use iPhone will realize that you need to pay for you to upload stuff on iCloud, two of us. If you use that thing is a 5 gig they give to you, they're exhausted, you've exhausted it. For any other thing you're packing up there to be back of, you must pay for it. So it's a gap that we experience, and it's a gap that I know affects how we manage information and use it in our security operations. These gaps are not theoretical. They are not a product of theory. They translate into missed threats, compromised operations, and avoidable security breaches. When these gaps exist automatically or sure, you know very well that information is not properly managed, there's an issue, you don't have all of the required equipment to manage them automatically, it will result in missing out in threat. What should have been threat, you wouldn't even know it's a threat until it results into a security breach and you suffer the consequence. Now, why information security is a shared responsibility? I've said it there for the optic time. It's a shared responsibility because one, from the policing lens, one of the greatest vulnerabilities in security operations is not external attack, but internal exposure of information. Even before the attack comes first, how have we exposed that information internally? How has it been used? Who has gotten it? What sense has the person been out of the information? So information security must guarantee these things. One, it must guarantee confidentiality. It must ensure that sensitive data is protected. Mind, I talked about the gap as to how we document and store this thing. But this is a given that there was a measure of confidentiality. For those of us who are members of the community, sometimes we share this information, whether it's to the police or any other security agent. How has the person treated that information confidentially, with a measure of confidentiality? If that is not done automatically, it will be a problem. That information must have something of integrity. Information remains accurate and untampered. It mustn't be such that somebody has given half information, keeps the remaining to himself. You that is acting on the information, you act on it and eventually you realize that you are endangering yourself. Even when it seems you have information at your disposal. Availability. Such information must guarantee the fact that it should be available. Data is accessible when needed. If you have all of the equipment and you can access it when you need it to carry out any operation automatically, the place of information security will have been defeated. In practical terms, breaches often occur through the following. One, careless handling of documents. With all due respect, I resigned from the bank to join the police. And I learned something from one of my branch managers. And I know most of us do it, whether you're a security agent or not, or you're a private office or something. Anytime you put any document on the desk, him and a match, somebody will come and see you, the person will stand before you
Like this, your desk, you're doing your job. There's a visitor. Who shouldn't be, even within the office, there are some people that shouldn't know that such information is at your disposal. That is where handling of information becomes a problem. You just keep, some of us will just flip all documents, and then I think there's no debt management, clean debt management that we call it in the bank. You just spread everything. Somebody that doesn't have any business without documents, standing before you, looking at that information. Even in my current office, when I step into the office, I say, I will be the one to run it. I don't really know. That's what I'm saying. It looks very simple, but it's an opportunity for the wrong person to access that information. Documentation would have been failed. It's possible it is in a written form. It's possible it's on display somewhere. But because you feel you're relaxed within your space, you just expose this thing the way you wish to expose it. And somebody comes to get that information, gets it, and later. One of the challenges the police have suffered that we have what we refer to as the NPS social media policy is that you need to see internal document of social media. And it's not just about the police, it cuts across. Even when such information shouldn't be there, you see it. Sometimes not because the person who is handling that information, that because he has been so careless to spread this thing. One visitor just finally comes, uses his or her phone to say the picture. The next moment, one of the major common amongst all of us in the security agencies community is the fact that one of the major codes to take is the code of secrecy. So you see people who want to organize not without any authority, you need to give out the information. And eventually it becomes such information that will come back to haunt not just the agency, it will haunt what they do, it will haunt the community. Because somebody has released that information he or she shouldn't release. There's compromised digital devices. So I have instances where your flash drive can corrupt. In fact, when I gave this particular document to the media people, he came back to me with a flash drive. I said, did it open? Because I could have accurately saved it on that flash drive. Chances are that on transit, a man might be by the system by him, and even if I'm not going to see that. Automatically, the idea of him using it would have been defeated. So, we have instances where the digital devices we use in storing security information will be compromised. Somebody can do that. It could be that it has developed form. Automatically, the aim of that security information will be defeated. Insider threats. In our agencies, in our families, you have modes. I don't know, on TikTok, I saw this young lady, Ebube. I don't know if you know it. I think one woman is like a crime, but it's a film rather. It's a crime where a woman came, was complaining to the mother that your son saw me and said that it is what Sonny, I remember the whole story. One night, somebody have seen that. You want to do that thing that somebody did to you. So while the mother was asking her, the woman complained to the mother was there and said, the girl now said, I told her what you had said about her. I don't know if you get it. So it becomes an insider threat. You could be talking before your children. You could be talking before somebody you think is record. The next moment to get to the person. So the police experience shows that the weakest link in information security is not human behavior, not technology. The missing link is in security reporting. And that is where it lies. Who has reported? How do the person report? Now, across agencies, there is a view of growing weakness. Under-reporting of security information is a problem. Most times you have, like I said, you can have half information. Like half knowledge is a disease itself. If you don't get full information, they give you halfway, you are in big trouble. From a policing standpoint, security reporting is not administrative. It's not just what you think you're doing in-house. It is operational and it is meant to ensure the following. One, that breaches are quickly contained, that vulnerabilities are identified, that future incidents are prevented. That is how we view it. Now, a culture where personnel conceal errors or breaches is dangerous. If you know there's a problem as a security agent, within how you have managed any information, don't conceal it. So, if you consider errors or breaches, it's dangerous in policing. Failure to report can lead to what? Jeopardize investigation, it can endanger life, it can
compromise precautions. Because he didn't tell the suspect was smart enough. When they succeeded in taking that vehicle, couldn't prevent, as a matter of fact, they escaped. But what they did right then was that they let the radar of the CCTV camera, because you can't pick everything and everywhere. So they ran and left that thing. But the center kept this record. So the next time that particular vehicle came within that radar, I know then it was an anti-kidnapping squad. They were alerted and eventually they swung into action, arrested the man. He was driving that vehicle with his wife. His wife was not part of the crime, but the man also did the one and the and so two of them were arrested, but after due analysis, the wife was left off the hook. We worked on other intelligence and information. We were able to arrest 2-3 more of them. Went as far as Port Harcourt to go and recover vehicles and the stolen. I mean, yes, we even went as far as Anambra, went as far as Owerri. It's as bad as that. So you realize that key observations as far as how we'll be relating with other agencies, the lessons we've learned is very, these are key observations we've made. One, include information silos. We believe that the structure of information, how it is handled, how those information has been managed, has a way of weakening collective response. We've talked about security information management. No matter how wonderful the joint we can pick all the best times we have in our various agencies, put us together. If we mismanage any security information, we will get the longest of all results we can ever think of. Agency rivalry undermines intelligence sharing is a big problem, whether I want to take it or yes. Agree? No, let's agree to this reality. No, I need to use information. Whether it's information we should use becomes a problem. Everybody wants to take a shine off the other person. But it's something I know we are dealing with today. I can beat my chest and say that because as far as the security element is concerned, the Commissioner of Police said, in fact, I'm the secretary of the forum. So I know how these people relate to themselves at that senior strategic level. I don't know down the line. But what we always try to do is that once there's an information that should benefit all the agencies to achieve the common goal, in spite of the differences in our mandates, the result is national security. The result is that the good people of Enugu state will sleep with their 2 eyes closed. That one thing happen, we must resolve it. What we've been doing in Enugu state is to ensure that once we have any of such security information, people put their heads together. It's regardless of who has obtained that information. The DSS gives us the information, they give us all the analysis. If we have to bring in Nigeria, if we bring in the Air Force, if we bring in the Navy, we bring in civil defense, wherever you're bringing, you bring that person. Because the end goal is that national security will be achieved. Social media was when somebody was posting a security information for me. So tell me I'm going to use it, it's already an open source. It is an enabler that can also be a problem. In Igbo language, we say no or tomo a as the sweets, and so they kill too. Now, digital system has transformed information management. We must admit that one, it has helped us in real-time reporting, it has helped us in centralized databases, it has helped us in surveillance integration, it has helped us in intelligence analytics. Very important. However, from a policing standpoint, we believe that technology has also introduced new risks. It has introduced cyber intrusions. The more you are exposed within the cyberspace, the more you are exposed to intrusions. And it's very sad that some of us are not tech savvy or the digital space savvy. That is why somebody can easily hack a WhatsApp account and begin to send all manner of malicious messages to people. They will share phishing link, give you a nice story because you want to link as you're clicking that link, that's what we're going to account goes. There's data leaks. It also happens on the tech space. There's over-reliance on secure platforms. Most of the platforms we use, whether at an organization or individual level, may not be as secure as they should be. Some of us are on WhatsApp, mine is end-to-end encryption, so whatever conversational happens between you and I, but there are also authentication levels you must activate. So it might be so reliable that it's your phone, the WhatsApp is on your phone, it's not enough. You must learn how to secure whatever you have there. Now, adopting technology without strengthening security framework is simply digitizing vulnerability.
So there must be something we do to strengthen the framework that guide how we use technology, we not only get information to manage it, and as a matter of fact to report such information. As much as possible, we are learning. Weak enforcement of reporting protocols. I've said when we begin to endorse to this person, endorse to that person, unfortunately there's a problem. There's cultural resistance to transparency. I'm interested in this particular space. But unfortunately, I don't have the whole time to discuss this. There are certain information you bring, somebody bring cultural bias to it. Now calling you go, we don't do this kind of thing in our space. And another person, we don't do this, we don't do this. These are information that would have been useful to operation. But because there's a bias, culture infusion would make a mess of that information that you begin to suffer. Interestingly, the police operating at the intersection of intelligence and public interaction often get the brunt of these deficiencies, whether I want to agree or not. Integrated information sharing platform that will help us. We enable secure real-time collaboration across agencies. We standardize information management procedures. We ensure uniformity in data handling and reporting. We strengthen information security architecture. We invest in both technology and human capacity, like it's happening here today. We invest in both technology and human capacity. Okay. We institutionalize mandatory security reporting. That should happen. Make reporting of breaches a non-negotiable duty. Like I said, if somebody has committed an error, he didn't report, and that information is put to use, at some point people will suffer some consequences they all want to suffer. Because there is a breach and somebody failed to do the needful. We must enhance continuous training at our individual level, whether even at the community level, agency level, or collectively. It must be something we enhance. We must focus on practical scenario-based learning. I'm giving us instances here. We don't have the whole time. We can't do simulations where possible. We must promote interagency collaboration frameworks. Very important. We must formalize coordination mechanism and joint operations. We must enforce accountability system, sanction breaches and negligence consistently. It shouldn't be a halfway thing. We must regularly review and update our policies. We must adapt to evolving trends and technology. That is where the whole thing centers. As I begin to conclude, from the policing perspective, one conclusion from all of what the Commission of Police have told you, not the PR, is unavoidable. Security effectiveness is directly proportional to how well information is managed, how it is protected, and how it is shared. No agency, whether military, police, or intelligence, can operate in isolation in today's environment. The threats are interconnected, and so must be our response to every threat. If we fail to manage information properly, we do not merely lose data, we lose operational advantage, we lose public trust, and more importantly and ultimately, we lose security control. If you lose security control in any given security situation, you have lost everything. So now when I say thank you for your time.
Round of applause for Secretary Enugu.